right. What's going on, Ted?
Well, Dan, we are here. What, about a week and a half before Christmas?
Yep, getting ready for the
Yeah,
holidays.
yes, I'm going to be
Looks
talking
very,
about what's that?
looks very festive over there.
Oh, this is, yeah, we got some Christmas lights up.
Got some
I
Christmas
have
lights
a
up. Yep. Yep.
yeah, Christmas lights. I got Batman.
Yep.
I got Whitey from Flushed Away. I think Flushed Away, one of my favorite animated movies.
That's right.
Yeah, so we're ready
All
to
right.
talk about perfect records, right? Or
We're
albums.
talking about perfect albums, which so what are we talking about here? An album that's got no songs that are bad all the way through. Right?
Right. That's our own subjective opinion, right?
Yes. So how was it
So
for you
you
to
may,
make this list?
this was, I think we talked about this before. This is the easiest list I put together, and I think I wasn't sure how to do this. I just started with some of the recent releases that I really like, and I started working backwards, and I realized I wasn't going to get to half of the records I wanted to put on the list. So I thought I could do 2 episodes, or we could do honorable mentions, or I could just jump
Yeah, let's
around and
definitely do honorable mentions.
okay.
Uh,
So yeah, this was fun. I had a really good time with this.
cool. Well,
I love albums.
As always, I'm sure I'm going to learn a lot, and so I'm going to be taking notes. Uh,
I hope. I love
yeah,
talking music with you. What are you talking about?
yeah. What?
I love talking music with you. I think we make a good team.
Yeah, me too. Right up there with all the greats in all the great partnerships.
That's right.
Right, Laurel and Hardy.
Abbott and Costello,
Yeah.
Spanky and Alfalfa.
Uh, uh, yep. Ed Norton and
Jackie Gleason
Becky
or
Gleason,
Ralph Cramden.
Ralph Cramden.
Yeah,
Strauss and Luby and Strauss. It's one of the greats
that's right.
of all time. All
I
right.
know.
So
They'll catch up eventually.
Yeah, how should we do this tonight?
Go back and forth.
I guess so. Are you going to go in any kind of an order?
Well, the list, I have a couple lists. One of them starts with the most current, like a 2020 record.
Well, I am just blown away that you found the record from the last year or two that you consider a perfect album. I'm really excited to hear what this is.
Okay. You want me to go first?
Yeah. So yeah.
I gotta find it now. Okay, this is a Moroccan band, a Moroccan French band, that I discovered. I think they're on Peter Gabriel's label, Real World, which puts out great music. And I get a lot of stuff from them. They're called Bab La Blues, which means Gateway to the Blues. And they put out a record called Miata, which means up or to rise, I think, in Darija, the language that's spoken in Marrakesh. One of the interesting things about this band is that they're led by a woman, Yaroussa Mansour, which, from what I know about Gowana music, is that it's pretty rare for a woman to be leading a band in that style of music.
Mm-hmm.
And they've just put out this really, really cool record. I think it's like 10 songs long. It's their debut record. And it just hit me like from the first song to the last one. It just flowed so beautifully. They play kind of the 3-string. I'm blanking on the name of the instrument. It's like a 3-string kind of North African guitar kind of thing. And one of them's tuned lower to sound like more like a bass. And one of them's, in the higher frequency, so it's like a guitar. And it kind of, brings up feelings of, North Africa and the desert and the rhythms, the kind of grooves that you get into in that part of the world. I think there's a lot of great youthful energy in their record. You know, you can tell when someone's excited to be playing music, and they're excited to be sharing these songs. And I just got that feeling from this band.
Hmm.
And I've seen them a few times on the interwebs at some festivals. I think at the Womex festival, they played, and they were a tight unit. They were like a 4-piece unit. So that's my first choice from 2020.
I don't know what, I've never heard of that. So what's the name of the band again?
Bab. The first word is Bab, B-A-B, and then L''B-L-U-Z as in zebra.
Okay.
And it's Gateway to the Blues. And their album is called Yada. And I think it's spelled, I have to look up how it's spelled. So
Sound like yada yada yada.
no, I think it's Neyada.
Okay.
I think, but they only have one record out, and it's on Real World. So if people are looking for it, I think it's pretty easy to find.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to check that out.
So
I've never heard of that. I never heard of that group. How did you find out about it?
yeah, I think I signed up with Real World, Peter Gabriel's label. I signed up to get email like updates from them years ago, and they used to do this really cool thing where they would send you individual tracks from a record and you could remix it. Do you remember that ever? Like whoever, like they would send you like, you know, this is Yusa Endur's new song, and they would just send you like the vocals, the drum track, and you could like throw it into GarageBand or Logic or whatever, and then send it back to them, and you could get feedback on your mixes or whatever. So I don't know if they still do that. This was probably about 10 years ago. But they send like email updates, like new releases, and I'll sometimes kind of, you know, go through them, you know, and kind of listen to a song or two. There's also a couple podcasts that I listen to. There's one out of Seattle called Seattle's Sacred Arts and Music, which plays really cool stuff from around the world. And there's another one called Podcast Wireless, I think, by a guy named Ian Anderson, not the guy from Jethro Tull, a different Ian Anderson, but he's in the UK, and he plays a lot of kind of, you know, roots music from around the world, like acoustic string-based roots music from around the world, like folk music, you know, things like that. So I think I probably heard about it on the Real World email update though. So
yeah.
Yes, so that's my first entry.
Okay, cool. How's the audio? How's everything looking on your end? It's still a little funky, or is it okay?
Oh, is it?
How is it on your end?
I think it's okay.
Okay, your audio is
You want
fine, but the video is getting a little stuck. But now it's better now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
It might have been my excitement.
Yeah.
I don't know. You should go and I'll observe maybe.
All right. My first one is way more mainstream. I'm gonna go for one of the big ones right away.
All right.
Purple Rain. Purple Rain. Yeah, that's a perfect
classic.
Album. Yeah, I think that's a perfect album. I don't think there's any tracks I skip over in that album. Some people might argue that what's that song? You know, is the water warm, Lisa?
Oh yeah.
I think that's an amazing song. I don't know if anybody.
Yeah.
I don't think any real Prince fans would ever skip over that song, but maybe a more casual, more casual listener might just want to get to the hits. But yeah, no, it's great. I love that album. The Beautiful Ones is amazing. Is that the song? The Beautiful Ones? No, that's a different song. So the Beautiful Ones is like a song that's kind of hidden underneath some of the hits, but that's a beautiful song. And yeah, I mean, I don't see how you could get more good songs packed onto one album than Purple Rain.
Yeah,
It's almost like a greatest hits. It's got so many great songs.
right.
Um,
Yeah, and he was on a run there for a while where it kind of catapulted him into world superstardom.
yeah. I Would Die for You, Let's Go Crazy, Take Me With You, um, you know,
Yeah,
Purple Rain, The Beautiful Ones, When Doves Cry. I mean,
yeah,
it's all on there.
yeah. It's a pretty amazing record.
Pretty amazing record.
Did he do all the production on that? Do you know?
I have not dug that deep. I'm sure he was.
Yeah.
I mean, knowing him, he's probably in the, one of the main, if not the main person driving the whole bus. But I'm sure there were some other people involved. But I just don't. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't do my homework on that
Yeah.
question. But yeah, I mean, it's just a perfect album.
Yeah. That's cool. I like that. Great choice.
Yeah, jumping right in with the big,
Yeah.
big fish.
I know. You ready for my next one?
Yeah.
This is also not a huge record. Big surprise. Came out 2019. I think this record should be required listening for everybody, especially in America. It's Songs of Our Native Daughters.
Oh yeah. That's great.
It's a collaborative album with Rhiannon Giddens, Emma Stith Kia, Allison Russell, and Layla McCalla. And there are 4 women of color who are banjo players, as well as fiddle players, guitar players, multi-instrumentalists, clarinet. And I think they just put together this amazing record that kind of documents American musical history, like in a more honest way, and in American history in general too. I think I think those voices have been ignored for a long time, and to have this record come out, it came out on Smithsonian, which I think was important as well. I think the production is awesome, and the performances are great. It can be a hard record to listen to sometimes, the songs are pretty intense, but I think it's an important record. So that's my number 2 choice.
That is a great album. Great record. Good choice. For all the reasons that you mentioned, not only just great music, but important historical, it's an important historical piece.
Yeah.
But then that's amazing. But honestly, if it wasn't also great music, it wouldn't stand out as much.
Right.
But the music is phenomenal.
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah.
Really great musician.
Yeah, the musicianship and the songwriting. Yeah, I think it just all works.
Yeah.
I think they capture this moment and were very thoughtful about it. I think it was Rhiannon Giddens' project, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Kind of bringing everybody together and the production team, and so yeah, great record.
Very good one. Yeah. All right, my number 2 pick is Blue by Joni Mitchell.
Yeah.
I felt like that
one.
That was a good one to follow up Prince, because Prince was a huge Joni Mitchell fan, and yeah, that album is, for a long time, my favorite album of hers was Ladies of the Canyon, but that was mostly because I hadn't really gotten to Blue yet in my my exploration full canon. But Blue is on another level, I think. The songs on Ladies from the Canyon are very good,
Yeah.
very sweet, beautiful songs, but the writing on Blue is it's in another place. And every song is great.
Yeah.
Just moves beautifully. It's just like a
Yeah.
great album to just sit down with headphones on, and just
Oh yeah.
let her take you on this ride. It's really moving and poetic and emotional.
Oh yeah.
And just beautiful songs.
I agree completely. What a great choice. Yeah, and she's she's a fan of alternate tunings, and so her voicings always sound really unique and interesting to me when she's playing.
Yeah.
And her melodies are always right there to kind of bring you in, and you want to hear the lyrics, what the song's about. Yeah. Yeah, it's a perfect record. I agree. Yeah, great choice. Wow, we're hitting home runs here.
Yeah. What do you got next?
Next one I have also from not too long ago, I think 2018. This was John Pryan's Tree of Forgiveness.
Yeah, that's one of my alternates.
Yeah, John Prine hadn't put out a record, I think, in probably 15 years or 10 years.
Yeah.
And he comes out with this. And I just love the story about, I think, how he was just kind of chugging along, touring, doing his thing. And someone, I think, at Oh Boy Records said, you need to make a record. We need to tap into these younger people who are coming to your shows. They want a record. And I think they sent him to a hotel to write songs or something for a week or something. And he came up with this beautiful record, When I Get to Heaven,
Yeah.
what a gorgeous song. And what, there's some partners, there's some duets on it. I think Dan Auerbach is part of the record from the Black Keys. And just a beautiful record. It's really well produced, and my kids love it. It's appealing to everybody, I think.
Yeah, it's amazing when artists
he writes lyrics to kind of tap into the human spirit.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, it's just amazing when songwriters and musicians come up with stuff that good, at the later stages of their careers and lives.
Oh yeah.
Like, where did those songs come? Like, how were songs that good still in him to create?
Right.
That song "Summer's End," and
beautiful song.
oh God, and I remember everything. Isn't that on that album?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's he kind of breaks it up with the humor, like Egg and Daughter.
Yeah. What's that one about my friends in science say?
Oh yeah, that's right. I got the record on here someplace. Yeah. Where is it? Yeah, somewhere.
Yeah, no, that's a great record. I love it. I love that record.
Yeah.
I was thinking about I was thinking about a John Prine album to choose, and I was thinking back into his earlier career. Like, there must be one that's just perfect, and I'm sure there is, but for whatever reason, maybe it's because it's the newest one, so it's fresh in my thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the one that came to mind.
Yep. Yeah, I love that record. I pull it out every once in a while.
Yeah,
just
beautiful,
pop it in.
beautiful album.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
very good choice. Very nice choice. Excellent.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you got next there?
All right, my next one is a debut album. So a couple of weeks ago, we did our all-time best debut albums, right? And I think I think this was on my list, actually. So not only is it a great debut album, but in my opinion, it's also a perfect album, which is "Look Sharp" by Joe Jackson.
Oh yeah. Yep. It's a pretty tight record.
It's a super.
There's not a lot of wasted time or space on that record.
Nope. And in my opinion, there is not one throwaway track on that record either. It's just it's just an album of just great songwriting, really, like you said, tight songs that kind of don't go on for too long,
Right. Yep.
Maybe there's a couple that are a little longer, like Sunday Papers, I think is a little longer. But for the most part, it's just a nice bunch of really, and probably maybe the most radio friendly. Well, that's not really true because Night and
He had
Day,
some other
that album Night and Day probably had his biggest hits on it,
stepping out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
stepping out and that stuff. But and this is also like he's a piano guy, and there's really no piano on this album for the most part. It's all guitars.
It's like a guitar, bass, and drum record.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. It's a pretty sparse record.
Yep, which I love about it. And it's got, let's see, Look Sharp, Sunday Papers, Is She Really Going Out with Him, Fools in Love, which are just to name a few of some of my favorite songs, of
Yeah.
by him or anybody. Especially Look Sharp. I think Look Sharp is a great song.
Oh yeah.
Um,
What is it? Time, Ticket on My Hands. Which one is that?
oh yeah, that's on there too. That's
That
on there
one's
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Ding, ding. Yeah. That's a great record.
yeah.
Good choice.
Perfect, you might say even.
Perfect choice, my friend.
Yes.
I like it. Oh, I lost track, Dan. I'm just going to start rattling them off, I think.
Go ahead. I'm jumping
All
around.
right. Okay. This is from 1990. No, 1989, maybe. It's Raiuchi Sakamoto, Japanese artist,
Wow.
who put out an album called Beauty. And Raiuchi Sakamoto, classically trained pianist, like he's loved Bach and Chopin and the Beatles. I remember him saying in an interview once. Those are his three big influences. And I originally discovered him. He did the soundtrack to a movie called Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence with David Bowie. And a beautiful soundtrack. And then I was visiting my friend, I think in Cleveland, and I bought this record in 1990, I think. And it's just this beautifully produced, lush, gorgeous sounding record. And he's got these amazing kind of guests on it, like Brian Wilson is on it, singing vocals on a few songs. Robert Wyatt, Yusa Endur, Arto Lindsay, the avant-garde guitar player from, the no wave scene is on it. And it just, it flows. It starts off kind of, up, and it kind of goes, it's kind of like this, it's almost like a collage of sounds. There's like classical feel to it. There's kind of some upbeat kind of rhythmic songs to it, Brazilian songs, but it all works. It all kind of, it doesn't feel disjointed or anything. And as I was doing the research, I found something fun information about it, is that it was #1 in Japan in the foreign charts. Like he's a Japanese artist, but they put the record in the foreign charts. So
In
I
Japan.
thought that was a weird, yeah.
That's weird.
So,
that makes sense.
I know. So Raiuchi Sakamoto, Beauty,
All right.
1990.
Another one that I'm going to require a little more exploration on my part.
I'm sorry.
Huh?
I'm sorry.
No, it's great. You're kicking my ass with not staying in the Western music world, which I unfortunately am.
I kind of left the West. Yeah, I kind of ventured out of the Western world. I think when in my early 30s, I just was having a hard time finding music that I liked.
Yeah.
Getting older, maybe. I don't know. Being curious. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's really great. That's what people should do.
Yeah.
I need to do that more, especially now when I'm feeling so so bummed out about what the music world is producing in Western pop music, Western rock music, whatever.
Yeah.
This is a real low point for me in terms of like trying to find music that I like. So it probably would do me well to get out of the comfort zone of the West,
Yeah.
of the what, the Western world a little bit.
Yeah, there's a lot out there,
Yep.
definitely. What
That
do you got
being
this
said,
next?
that being said,
Yes.
my entire list tonight is well, anyway.
That's okay. You have
So
some
my
great
next one
great
is
records.
what's that?
You have great records on there.
Yeah, I mean these are great records. So my next one I'm going to go with is the band, the Brown album.
Mm.
You were probably expecting music from Big Pink, but I don't know why. But I maybe it's because when I was growing up, we had this album and we didn't have Big Pink in the house.
Okay.
So Big Pink I got to know a little later, but I love the Brown album.
Yeah,
I think it's just called The Band, right?
I think so. Yeah.
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 So that's, I mean, it's loaded with some of their biggest known, their biggest known songs, Up on Cripple Creek and The Night They Drove Old Dixie Down. And
Hmm.
but then it has some other kind of deeper cut gems like Rocking Chair and
Oh yeah.
um, Rag Mama Rag.
Hmm.
And for me, it's just a perfect listen. Like it's just, I mean, it defines what we're talking about tonight. And so, and I just feel like it's them at the height of their powers. Not that Big Pink is not, obviously that's also them at the height of their powers, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know, the Brown album just really, it's got that great album cover, right? That photo, Jonathan Landis
Hmm.
is the photographer.
Oh yeah. Right. Yep.
It's just so iconic, that photo.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. It's a great sounding record too.
yeah, it's got that really great rootsiness to it.
Hmm.
And yeah, it's a great record. I love it. And
Yeah. It's hard to go wrong with the band.
it's on my list. Yeah.
Definitely. That's a great choice. Excellent choice. All right. I've lost track. All right. I'm going to go back to 1964. I'm going to switch genres and I'm going to, and I chose John Coltrane's A Love Supreme,
Oh yeah.
which is probably maybe an obvious choice, but I think it's just a perfect record. It's not a really long record. From what I've read about it, he kind of went off by himself and wrote all the music and came downstairs and talked to his wife Alice, said, I've got this whole record like in my head. It's all written, it's ready to go, which is amazing. And then went and recorded it with this classic band, with Elvin Jones and McCoy Tyner and who else was it? Jimmy Garrison on bass on that one? I can't remember. But it's a beautiful, it's a powerful kind of spiritually uplifting record, for me to listen to.
Yeah.
We'll sometimes play it on Sunday mornings instead of going to church. We'll put on A Love Supreme,
Yeah.
because it's such a beautiful record.
Well, for him, it was a very religious record, right? It was a very spiritual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think he had talked about, kind of recovering from addiction.
Yeah.
And, asking God to let me spread joy through music, and so it really does. It's a joyful record, I think. So, and it's one of those records I think you have to play from start to finish. It's like, for me at least.
That's a great album.
So,
I never know if the right term to say is album or record,
I don't know either.
But I guess they're really interchangeable terms.
Yeah, I think so. I think what do I have I been saying album?
I think we've both been going back and forth.
Yeah.
But
I don't know.
I recently found out that the reason that the Grammys have two categories, one called best song and then best record.
Mm-hmm.
is because what they refer to when they call something a record is they're referring to the recorded process, the recording process of creating
Mhm.
the version that we know of that song with all of its production value and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then the song, when they give the Grammy for best song, they're talking about the composition.
Ah, gotcha. Okay.
I never even knew that, you know. I never understood why they give something called best record and also best song. So
Yeah. Do you watch the Grammys still or ever? Or
no, never.
I remember when I was a kid how cheesy it was, you know, that and the Oscars, all those award shows, you know.
Yeah.
Inevitably you get like John Denver or John Davidson like hosting the big lapels or whoever.
Yeah.
And it was just like this massive cheese fest for like 3 hours, you know.
But it's also, in my opinion, also almost always it's just some of the worst music on display,
Right.
you know, for 3 to 4 hours. You know, every once in a while you'll get a gem of like every once in a while the Grammy voters will actually choose something good.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, it's just, you know.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But
I
anyway,
haven't watched in years.
not to sit here and bash the Grammys, but
that's a different episode.
yeah. Why did we get on that topic? I don't even remember.
We were discussing
album
semantics. Yes, album, record, disc.
Well, anyway, that's a great choice, sir. Very nice.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
All right, my
it's your
next
turn.
one is by Stevie Wonder. It's his album called Talking Book.
Okay.
Which came out. You know, I didn't really do a ton of homework on these albums. I just grabbed them out of my head, out of my heart. But I didn't really.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that's probably like 74, maybe.
Sounds about right. Yeah.
Thereabouts.
I would say so.
It's one of the three classics, that he put out in that stretch.
Was it Intervisions one of them?
Yeah, Intervisions and Songs in the Key of Life.
Yeah.
Not to take anything away from those two albums, but for some, I don't know, Talking Book for me is a perfect album. Like,
yeah,
just beautifully all the way through.
Yeah.
Man, that album is just killer.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's hard to argue with that.
And just when you think that you're in the middle section where maybe it's going to dip a little bit and not give you as strong, material as what he front loaded it with, or maybe how he's going to end it.
Yep.
Just all these gems right in the middle,
Oh, I know.
Oh God, it really just it gets to me every time I listen to it. It's such a great album.
Is that he did a lot of the production and playing on that himself, right?
Yeah.
Is that
Jeff Beck is on that album though.
Oh right, Jeff Beck was in a lot of places back then. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
There's a part of one song where he even says, "Play it, Jeff," or "Take it, Jeff," something like that.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were the sunshine of my life. I remember asking my guitar teacher to help me figure that song out. And I had some crazy chords that were way too advanced for my, 13-year-old self. But
yeah.
I don't know. That's such a beautiful song. What a great way to open a record, right?
Yeah, seriously. That might be, okay, so that could be another great podcast. It's just like great openers.
Mm-hmm.
But boy, how do you top that? I mean, that is a great opener.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. It is. Good choice.
Song. Yeah. Thank you.
Really nice. Man. All right. I got papers. Do you have papers, or do you have them on like a computer?
It's on my phone.
Oh, your phone? I've got like papers everywhere. I'm like Oscar Madison over here.
That is much cooler.
I should be smoking a cigar.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. My next one is a 2009 record. This is pretty underground too, and I have a little story about it as well. It's by a band called Les Trioboliques. They're not French. They're actually three English guitar players who kind of were originally punk guitar players. One of them played in The Damned. I think another one played in Magazine, the band Magazine. And they kind of progressed through the music world, and they discovered like roots music from around the world, and they came together in 2009 and made this really cool record. And it's mostly stringed instruments like mandolins, acoustic guitars, the three-string African guitar, which I still can't remember off the top of my head. And one of the guys, Justin Adams, is the guy. He's the guy I took guitar lessons from over the winter.
Oh yeah.
And somehow we got talking about music, and he was asking me, about something, and I said, oh, that song on the Les Trioboliques record, and he was like, you know that record? So apparently it didn't do that well, but I think it's got like this hardcore fan base of people who really like it. It's there's a kind of a Latin song that's sung in Russian, so it's like this mixture of styles. They do a really cool version of Please Don't Let Me Be Misunderstood. It kind of takes off like almost in like this kind of klezmer kind of middle section. And it's a cool record. Very like, as a guitar player and like a person who loves stringed instruments, it completely appeals to me. So Les Trioboliques, it's called River Mud Twilight, the record. So in 2009.
Where are they from?
Find it out. They're English. They're all English musicians, but they've all kind of ventured off and done like different things with roots music around the world. Lou Edmonds, one of the guys, did this project where he helped musicians in Siberia and other Middle Eastern countries like build recording studios. Ben Mendelsohn works for Womex, like the world music festivals that happen around the world. So, and I think they just kind of, they've known each other. They came together and put this record together. And I think they still like play every once in a while, like for different festivals and sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Ben Mendelsohn, that name sounds familiar. I think there's an actor, Ben Mendelsohn. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
cool. You have to make me a playlist, okay? Can you make me a playlist? Some of these groups?
Sure, I will. I'll put together a Spotify. I'm getting better at the Spotify.
School me up.
Okay, I'll put together. That's fun putting together lists, right?
Yeah, that is fun.
Playlist. All right, what do you got?
Let's see. I'm gonna do a double dip here. I'm gonna cheat a little bit, okay?
Yeah.
I could not narrow down one Wilco album.
Mm-hmm.
So I picked two. So I mean, I definitely could have just gone straight up with Yankee Hotel Foxtrot.
Right.
Because it is a great and perfect album. But I felt that by doing so would be I don't know, a little bit of a disservice to another great album, which if you were to hang me off by my ankles off the Empire State Building and say, you must choose one Wilco album, I might choose this other one, to be honest. It's Sky Blue Sky.
Oh yeah. Right.
Yeah,
it's a great record.
I just think that's a fantastic record, and
yeah,
I don't think it gets a ton of love from the Wilco world as maybe one of their best for some reason, because it's not kind of their more classic style. I guess it's a little bit, I don't know, they went off a little bit into something just a little bit different.
Yeah.
And but they're both, amazing and brilliant. And
Mhm.
Sky Blue Sky that has a great opener. What's the name of that song? Today, time will.
Either way.
Yeah, either way. Thank you, Internet Man. Oh yes, very good. So
CD man.
that's a great first song, great opener, and from there it
Yeah.
just keeps getting better. I mean, Impossible Germany, and
Right.
it's just such a great album.
Is that the first one that Nels Cline played on as a member of World Cup? Do you know?
I don't know if that's his first one. I'd have to look that up. And then,
Because
huh?
it definitely takes some interesting kind of avant-garde experimental turns every once in a while.
Yeah, definitely.
And it seems like that might have been his influence. Not that Jeff Tweedy couldn't go there, but
I think from a guitar playing point of view, definitely. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
It goes in directions with guitar work
Hmm.
that I think was a little different than some of their other albums.
Yeah.
I always think of it as their guitar album.
Sure. Yeah.
And then Yankee Hotel Foxtrot is just like another perfect thing. But Yankee Hotel Foxtrot has some tracks that they can bring you down a little bit. They're a little muddy and
Yeah. Right.
murky in what their vibe is, and then it'll perk you back up with like Heavy Metal Drummer and Pot Kettle Black,
Right.
songs like that. But it'll take you down a little bit too.
Hmm.
The Sky Blue Sky is a little bit more uplifting. It's a little bit more,
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
it's a little lighter.
Was the Yankee album, was that the one where they did the documentary?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
That's pretty intense record, and the sessions behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like A Ghost Is Born is also a great album. And Being There is a great album, but I don't quite find those to be perfect albums.
Hmm.
They have some great, all of them have great tracks on them, but those two albums I think are perfect.
No, yeah, definitely. Oh, good choice.
Yeah. That's
like
my Wilco double dip. A little bit of a cheat.
That's okay. We don't have any rules here.
Yeah, there's no rules. There's no rules on the Lake and Bridge podcast. Come on.
That's right.
We're told nonsense.
That's right. Silly nonsense. All right, where's my papers? I got that. I did that one. I did that one. I did that one. Okay. This is one of my mainstay groups. They come up probably in every podcast. XTC.
Oh yeah.
English Settlement. This was a hard one for me to choose. English Settlement, though, I think won out in the end. It's from 1982. And it's a much more, their album previous to that, Black Sea, was much more kind of like, it was like a sparse kind of two guitars, bass, drums, high energy. We can take these songs out on the road. We can play them every night. I think English Settlement is more kind of pastoral, like English pastoral kind of. It's got 12-string Rickenbackers. It's got acoustic guitars. It's got like fretless bass. It kind of had senses working over time, which I think most people probably know. And yeah, I think Hugh Padgham produced it, who was a big English producer back then. He had worked with Susie and the Banshees and Phil Collins and all those people. But I think he did a really great sound. He's got a big drum sound on it, but it doesn't overwhelm the guitars, which are beautiful. And there's the kind of the interlocking guitar parts of Dave Gregory and Andy Partridge. So I chose that because it's from I think it's a double album. Like if you get the vinyl, when I got the vinyl when it came out, it was a double record, and it flows really nicely. It kind of fades in the first song, kind of fades in, and it's like, and then you're there, which is kind of a cool way to start a record. It's got this really nice chiming 12-string, guitar coming in.
Yeah.
So yeah, I chose English Settlement. It was either that. Skylarking's another favorite from '86.
Yeah.
Which has, of course, Dear God on it. But yeah, English Settlement won out.
That is a great album.
Yeah.
I do like that album a lot too. It's hard.
I don't
Some artists do have more than one that you would pick, and it's hard to.
Yeah.
I mean, not that you can't have two on the list by the same artist, but you kind of want to be a little bit more diverse, and so you're trying to jump around a little bit, and you're like,
right.
Picked by these guys.
I know, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had your Wilco conundrum with XCC. It's like,
yeah.
But I went back and listened, in English Settlement. I think it's aged really well. There's not, you can still put it on and it doesn't sound. I mean, there's some stuff that sounds early '80s-ish, but not. It's not like there's horrible, like drum sounds or horrible keyboards on it, So yeah, I think it stands up to the test of time.
Absolutely. No, that's great.
Yeah.
Cool. I think that there are so many perfect albums, really. It's hard to, even to try to pick 10 makes it sound like these are, well, I guess we're trying to pick our favorite perfect albums, but you have to acknowledge there's many even beyond that.
Oh, yeah.
So I think we're both going to have trouble getting it down to 10. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I've got 3 more.
Okay.
Maybe
was
4.
That my 7th?
In the interest of time, I think I may do 2 at a time.
Okay. Yep.
So my next 2 are by a couple of people. Actually, I'll do 3 here.
3.
Because they're all.
And then I'm out.
Okay, so here we go. Bob Dylan's "Blood on the Tracks."
Oh yeah.
David Bowie's "Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars."
Yep.
And then this album here, "Graceland" by Paul Simon. I think all 3 of those are perfect albums. I can't think of a bad song on any of those albums. I can't think of a song that I skip on any of those albums.
Yep.
They're all great. I don't even want to try to put them in any kind of order. Although, if I had to listen to only one of them for the rest of my life and the other 2 had to go away, I would probably pick Ziggy Stardust. I think I love that album.
Oh yeah.
It's my favorite Bowie album.
Yeah.
Which is saying a lot, I also love Hunky Dory and Station to Station and a couple of others, but Ziggy Stardust is number 1. So I'm going to do a triple shot with the guys on the wall here.
Wow, that was good, man.
Yeah, I didn't even realize it until I started talking. That, oh my God, look at that, they're on the wall.
You set it up, man. That was a beautiful setup.
Yeah.
How many records have I done so far? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Have I done 7?
Yeah, so. That sounds about right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are we getting heavy on time here?
We're getting up there, but that's okay. We've gone deep. We've gone deep into the night before. We've played a couple of double headers.
Okay. All right. All right. I'm trying to think. None of these people relate to each other. This is another English artist. This is artists, Richard and Linda Thompson. Um, I Want to See the Bright Lights Tonight,
Hmm.
the first record they did together. I think from '74. Richard Thompson, of course, was in Fairport Convention, was this wonder kid, guitar player. He went off and did his first solo record, which kind of bombed. It's called Henry the Human Fly. Um, and then he got together with his wife, Linda, and I guess he kind of like rebuilt him, like they started playing like folk clubs all over England and Scotland and, Ireland, and put together this album, I Want to See the Bright Lights Tonight. Went in with a band and recorded it. And I think it's just a really, it's a great record. It all fits together, The production is really cool for the early '70s. I think everything sounds really cool. The guitars are kind of wiry sounding, the electric guitars, where the acoustic guitars sound fuller. And I think having Linda Thompson singing with him really kind of bolstered his maybe self-esteem, and maybe helped him write some of these songs that he might not have written if he was still just on his own at the time. I mean, because he's still a young guy, right? He's like in his mid-20s or something, when this comes out. What does it have? It's got When I Get to the Border, the Cavalry Cross, I Want to See the Bright Lights Tonight, Down Where the Drunkards Roll. It's just a great album, and I think it's produced really well too. And it's got a nice flow to it. The songs kind of flow into each other really nicely. And it's always an album I put on from start to finish. It's a perfect record. So
Yeah, that's true about that album. It does really flow nicely together.
Yeah,
that's such an art, and
oh yeah, sequencing songs.
Yeah,
I agree. Yeah.
I've gotten really hung up on that process when I've made my albums.
Mm-hmm.
And then you realize once it comes out, that's going to be the sequence that everybody knows. And so does it really even matter?
Right.
You could literally just toss them up into the air and have them fall, because if it becomes a great album that people remember, they're going to remember whatever order those songs came out, however it landed.
Oh yeah.
Unless you're like, telling a story like a Sergeant Pepper kind of thing.
Right.
But that one does flow very nicely together.
Yeah. So yeah.
I guess Ziggy Stardust is also kind of telling a story. So the order of those songs is also kind of important.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah, I think with Richard Thompson's songs are sometimes they're like these characters who are down on their luck, I Want to See the Bright Lights Tonight, or Down Where the Drunkards Roll. It's like, they have one night on the town or whatever. They've just gotten out of jail,
Yeah.
These kind of characters that may be down on their luck, but they're gonna enjoy the next 6 hours or something,
Mm-hmm.
They've got a little money in their pocket. They're gonna buy some drinks. So yeah, interesting character studies on that record too. So are you finished with your list, or do I?
I have one more.
All right.
No, I'm sorry, I have 2 more, but I'll do them in one
All right.
shot. I'll do them in one shot.
Okay.
So probably you've noticed, and we both probably noticed that no Beatle albums have been put out there yet, which is kind of shocking, right?
I know.
That was one of those things where because all of them are so great, they kind of cancel each other out when you're trying to pick maybe just one from the group to call up, your favorite perfect album.
Right.
So it might be because it's so fresh in my mind from having just watched the Get Back documentary, but for tonight, and this could change tomorrow, I'm going to say that my Beatles perfect album is Let It Be.
Oh, okay.
Just because of the rule that says that, there's no song in there that you want to skip over.
Right.
And one of the things that documentary reminded me of is that there isn't one song on Let It Be that I ever want to skip over.
Mm-hmm.
that's also true of pretty much all their records, with a very, very few exceptions,
Yeah,
which you and I have talked about a little bit. But
yeah,
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 as we were discussing one other evening, Revolver certainly could have also been that other Beatles perfect album.
yeah.
As could probably maybe, well, Abbey Road is very, very
Hmm.
close. Uh,
Even with Maxwell's Silver Hammer.
right. Yeah. I always think of like the great lineups in baseball history, but
Yeah,
there's always one hitter that you got to kind of get through to get to all the great,
right.
you know. It's
Oh
just
yeah.
um
And you hope he doesn't come up with the bases are loaded and
yeah, yeah. So on Rubber Soul, for me, that song is Michelle. I'm not a big fan of that song, Michelle.
Mm. How many
Um,
kids are named Michelle that year
yeah, right.
or the
And I'm so
next year?
sorry to all of you. I don't mean to be to diss your name, but um, so anyway, so I'm gonna go with Let It Be from the Beatles, and then
Uh-huh.
my grand finale album is Born to Run by Bruce Springsteen.
Ah,
Uh,
okay.
I think that's just as close to perfection as a human being can get to creating anything. Uh,
Yeah. 75, is that right?
75. The dude was only 25 years old when he wrote this album, which is ridiculous.
Oh,
Uh,
damn, I know.
and
Truly.
famously worked the E Street Band down to the bone to get this album to sound the way it sounded.
Uh-huh.
That it also has one of the great uh, opening tracks, the piano and harmonica of Thunder Road as an opening
Oh,
track.
right. Yep. Yep.
Holy moly! Like, how do you get better than that? I don't know. And it just never lets
Yeah.
up. And its finale is Jungle Land, which is like epically amazing. Um,
Hmm.
and 40 years later or whatever it is, you could almost be a little bit of like, you could tease Born to Run a little bit as an album because it's so quintessentially American rock and roll.
Right.
Um,
Right. Sure.
that it's almost now kind of a like a what's the word, like a I don't know, it almost is like a um I don't want to say making fun of itself at this point, but it's kind of like it's so iconic, and
Hmm.
it's like a I have a picture on my wall.
You have a picture? Wow.
Right.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah,
Ah, there you go.
like it's like iconic, I guess, and through that, it's
Yeah.
become kind of like whatever. But it's a great album, perfect album.
Cool. Nice.
Yeah, I'm gonna end with that one.
All right.
There
I
are
think I have
many
two more
more.
as well.
There are many more,
What's
but
that?
there are many
Yeah,
more, but
a
I'm going to
lot
end
more.
with that one.
Yeah. I too thought about the Beatles and I thought, are people tired of hearing us talk about the Beatles? And so I thought they could be on a separate list, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and then I originally thought Revolver because it's always been my favorite record. And then um, I put the White Album on Spotify and I had like a bunch of errands to do. And I thought, man, the White Album, what a great record,
Yeah.
you know? I mean,
I saw somebody made they took the White Album and they made it a single album by trimming it
uh-huh,
down to what they thought were the best tracks. It was pretty
yeah.
interesting,
What did they take out? Do you remember? Probably.
They took out Piggies, and they took
Mhm.
out both of the Honey Pies, both Honey Pies.
Oh,
I know. Um, they took out Bungalow Bill,
uh-huh.
um, Revolution, number 9.
Oh, number 9.
Yeah.
That's an easy
So
target for a lot of people, I
I guess
think.
they trimmed it down to like 10 songs.
Okay.
And and the argument was that, if they had made it as this 10-song album, it would have been maybe the greatest Beatles album ever. But that's just, one person's opinion of being kind of like,
Sure.
but
Yeah,
we
yeah,
all
yeah.
we all love those songs in their own quirky way. But
Right. Yeah, yeah, I know. Listening to Piggies in the car with the kids are cracking up.
yeah,
They love that song. And I thought, yeah, because I haven't really heard the Wait album in quite a while from start to finish. And I know it's like a period where they were probably not getting along that well with each other, and you hear stories of them recording their parts and then someone else would come in. But it holds together, it ties together pretty well. And it was almost nice being, because I hadn't listened to it in so long, being like, oh right, I forgot about Glass Onion,
yeah.
or I forgot about this. What a great song.
Everybody's
Or
got something to hide except for me and my monkey.
yeah, what a great song. The rhythm on that is so cool.
Yeah.
It's like, where do they come in? Do they come in on the three? So, and I even like Revolution number 9. As you get older. I think when I was younger, I didn't get it. But and it's interesting to hear that McCartney was kind of like the catalyst for a lot of those experiments, right? Like with Tomorrow Never Knows from Revolver. I think I was reading that it was his idea that they go back home and kind of record snippets of conversations from the television and then bring them back, so he was just as experimental as John, I think, in some ways. And it's got the Stockhausen, thing going on. So I'm kind of leaning towards the White Album.
Yeah.
Tonight. Yeah.
Right.
And Good Night. What a beautiful way to end an album. Ringo singing.
Oh man.
The song that John Lennon wrote for him to sing.
Yeah.
Man, that is such a great song.
That's a beautiful song. Does that really close the album? Like that literally
closes
the album?
That closes the record.
I forgot about that, yeah.
It goes Cry Baby Cry, Revolution 9, and then Good Night. Which is an interesting way to close a record.
Yeah.
So do I have one more?
Yeah, I think so.
My other one, I'm going to go back to my underground. It's a record by a band called Dub Colossus, which is the brainchild Nick Page. It's a combination of English Ethiopian musicians, and they put out a record in 2007 or 2008, and then their second record, which I chose, which is Addis Through the Looking Glass, like Addis Ababa. It's rhythmic. It's got like that kind of Ethiopic feel that all those great Ethiopian recordings from the 50s and 60s. Those great horn lines, really cool melodies. They do a couple covers. They do Sata Masagana, the Obsidian song, and they do Uptown Top Ranking, which is the classic Jamaican song. And Nick Page, he just passed away actually earlier this year. He had cancer, but he was an interesting fellow. He was like this producer, musician who had done all this work with different musicians around the world, like in Syria, right before Syria was kind of bombed into oblivion by different outside forces. Put together this beautiful record with an Irish upright bass player called Syriana, which is a gorgeous, gorgeous record. Like the Syrian orchestra plays these kind of traditional Syrian songs. And he had done work with like some North African musicians. But I love this album. I play it all the time. I never get sick of it. Dub Colossus.
Cool.
So that's it. I'm done.
Nice. Well, there we go. Two great.
I have tons more, but I'm not going to talk about it because people are probably tired of hearing me talk. So
I mean, it's very hard to whittle down,
Oh yeah.
Yep. I had quite a few more too.
Just list off 5 more. No explanations.
Well,
just list them.
One thing that also just stands out for me is, again, that none of these I think are newer than maybe 2000, and I don't think anything beyond 2000 is on my list. Maybe 2005. I just don't get through entire albums anymore. Period. Like
Yeah.
I just haven't had one come across my plate in years that I just thought like, wow, what a great album all the way through. Holy, I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's me. I don't
I
know.
don't know.
I really like David Bowie's Black Star that came out.
Uh,
That was his last album before he passed away.
right.
So that's fairly recent. Uh,
Mhm.
I do like that first um, Alison Krauss and Robert Plant album.
Oh, Raising
Um,
Sand. Yeah.
yeah, I've been listening to the new one a little bit, but it hasn't really gotten fully into my system yet. Car Wheels
Yeah.
on a Gravel Road, Lucinda Williams. That's fairly recent. I think that's a perfect album.
Mhm.
I
Is
also
that
had
from the early 2000s?
yeah,
Yeah.
I also had Speaking in Tongues by Talking Heads.
Mhm.
Uh, Suzanne Vega's debut album, Suzanne Vega.
Yep.
Um, a really great album by Amy Mann called I'm With Stupid. Came out in
Oh
the
yeah.
mid
I know
90s.
that record. Yep.
Uh, so yeah. Oh, Miles Davis, Kind of Blue.
Yep. It's a classic.
Yeah.
Yep. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do
I
you have
had
honorables?
I had I couldn't choose between the first two Sinead O'Connor records. Sinead O'Connor records. It's hard to say. The Lion and the Cobra,
Yeah.
which I think came out and just kind of, I think a lot of people hadn't heard anything like that before.
Yeah.
And the second one, I Do Not Want What I Haven't Got.
That's a perfect album. It really is.
Yeah, I think both of them are. That's why I couldn't choose.
Yeah.
Um, and so yeah, they were just, I think she was bold, honest, adventurous musically, um, inventive lyrically and musically, you know. So yeah, that was on one of my papers. What else did I have? I was going through Kinks records, and the Kinks always, sometimes I think they're a better singles band than an album band.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I was thinking, oh, the Village Green Preservation Society, but everyone's, there's a couple songs that just kind of like, you know. So I don't know if my Kinks friends are listening, they're probably going to kill me. But who else did I have? Robert Wyatt's Sleep album from '97, which Brian Eno produced.
Mhm.
I love that record. That's a great record. It's got a pretty, it's a it's like maybe 10 or 11 songs. Trying to think what else. The Jam, All Mod Cons, their third record. I think that was a pretty perfect record for someone so young.
Hmm.
Oh, you know what else? Actung Baby, U2.
Yeah, I was thinking about why I didn't put a U2 album on there, and I don't know actually. And that would
Yeah,
be the one for sure.
because that really kind of takes them in a different direction,
Yeah, but there is at least one song on there that I skip over.
Really, which one?
I can't remember. I'd have to look at the track list, but
Yeah, yeah.
uh, and honestly, that's true. I think of all their albums. I don't think there's one U2 album that I go all the way through.
Oh,
So they didn't make the perfect cut.
yeah. I think that was a close one for me.
That's as close as it got, I think.
Yeah.
That's a great album. Peter Gabriel's So, I guess it's pretty close. That's
Yep.
one of the first albums we talked about in our podcast here.
It was, yeah.
Um, maybe part of it is time a little bit has worn away some of the perfectness.
Mhm.
I probably don't anymore listen to that album all the way through without maybe skipping one or two songs.
Off so, yeah.
But that could be, like I said, that could just be fatigue, you know.
Sure, yeah.
Album
Sometimes if you,
fatigue.
yeah, yeah, if
Um,
you've heard a song so many times,
yeah.
yeah. I was thinking of looking at my list here.
Oh, Pet Sounds. I don't know why I didn't put Pet Sounds on here.
Uh-huh.
That's pretty much a perfect album.
Yeah,
Although there's a couple on there
that's true.
that, you know, I love, but you know, I may not always listen to every single time I listen to the album.
Yeah,
But it's pretty darn close to a perfect album.
yeah.
Um,
I know. Oh, I had Catch a Fire, the Bob Marley and the Wailers record.
oh yeah, yeah.
That one's pretty perfect for me too. It's got Concrete Jungle, Stir It Up, Stop That Train,
Yeah, Stop That Train. That's a great song.
Slave Driver, which the Our Native Daughters record covers
Hmm.
in a very interesting style. So
Yeah.
yeah. So that was also on my list. Too many records, Dan.
Yeah, which is great, right?
Yeah.
But it's hard to make a perfect record,
Oh yeah.
you know?
Right.
It's hard not to have, you know, one or two either mediocre tracks that just fill out the album,
Hmm.
or sometimes just a straight up clunker, you know? Um, and it's also hard sometimes to be, you know, be honest beyond your own fandom.
Right.
You know
Sure.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So there are some definite cases for me where I would I'd want to put an album on there, but if I'm really being honest,
Hmm.
not every song is really great, but I love the artist so much that I'm just kind of like, you know.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so that got me a couple of times with a couple of albums I almost put on the list.
Oh yeah.
I was like, yeah, come on, be honest. Come on, be honest.
You're being tough with yourself.
You got to be a little tough with yourself. Yeah. You can't just give everybody a pass because you love them.
Right. Oh sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of examples now, and I'm not really coming up with any great examples off the top of my head. But there's
Yeah.
definitely some Springsteen albums that I think are definitely not great all the way through.
Hmm. Didn't
Um,
quite make it.
yeah.
Yeah. Right. Sometimes you
Again,
wonder, did they have to put it out?
yeah, and I also feel kind of ridiculous even saying this stuff and critiquing anybody. Like who the heck am I to even say that? Like Bruce Springsteen has some bad songs. Like Jesus, whatever, you know.
Well, if you're watching, Bruce,
I should be so lucky as to
we have a
have,
list.
yeah, to have an album that anybody, you know, listens to the whole thing. So
That's all right.
oh, so you know, Simon and Garfunkel, Sounds of Silence, that's a great album.
Hmm.
How did I miss that one? I didn't even, oh, that's terrible.
That's all right. That's what I said. I have like, I know I just kept writing them down.
Yeah,
Oh, right. What about this one? What about this? I love this record.
yeah,
And then I realized I hadn't even gotten to like 1990, going backwards, you know, from today. So,
yep.
well, that was fun.
Yeah, that's another good one.
So we're gonna make playlists for each other of our lists, right?
Yeah, yeah. Maybe I guess I could add them to the posting, to the video posting. Links
Uh-huh.
to our playlists, right?
Okay, we'll each do one.
Yeah.
Okay,
But
that sounds
anyway, are
good.
we gonna do another one before the end of the year?
I think so. Well, what's on our list of things to?
I don't know. I think we were thinking about maybe doing a best songs of 2021 or best albums of 2021.
Yep.
So I think I'm gonna have a pretty hard time with that, but
I did a playlist on that.
yeah, I saw that. That's great.
Did you? I sent it to you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we'll figure it out. We'll think of another topic for next time.
Okay.
Close out our
Yeah.
year.
On a high note.
Yeah.
I see.